Going Trixie Day today with my shirt, and probably notice a notepad. Something I'm going to try and remember to record later, so hopefully I do. See you in the next scene. So I had this thought. Part of our first day was, and probably why I found it somewhat draining and disconcerting, was having to do introductions of ourselves and throughout something that's an interesting fact. One of the people in the class mentions that he records games and posts them online, or his gameplay, and I'm just thinking, oh, you're an LPer, and followed up by, why didn't you say anything to me when I'm wearing a very obvious Proton John shirt that day? Yeah, people in this city are friendly, very nice people. They just know how to make others feel welcome. Yeah, I've been putting up with that for well over more than a decade. Such a nice people in this town. Of course, how would I know to engage the guy myself, which is something you guys probably asked, when I didn't know that about him until class had started, and then can't follow up on it afterwards because he immediately bolts out the door. Yeah, that's my side of things. So what if engaged if I tried? Just like, dude, come on. So you're an LPer. Oh well. Just the people in this lovely. I don't want to. Whatever. And yes, if you notice the levels on some of my Pokemon in this, well, I have nothing to do in between releases, so might as well grind them. Oh, I've played too much Final Fantasy in my day. Okay, so I have this theory. It's that I can't go out in this city driving around without someone trying to run me off the road. Because so many times do I encounter a situation where either a driver or bicyclist or pedestrian are either violating either traffic laws or just common sense safety, and I'm usually the one that has to make the emergency corrections because they're obviously right of way and I'm not, because reasons unknown to me, probably because I'm from Southern California. But so today's incident so far, because I'm not even back home yet, guy decides the best way to make a left-hand turn is to pull halfway into the oncoming lane with his trailer and stop there while oncoming traffic comes towards him. Of course, he makes that immediate decision while he's stopping right as I'm approaching, so it's like he's veering straight into me this time. And he's giving me the dirtiest of looks, like I'm the one doing something very unsafe, because, I'm in the middle of my lane. I have to swerve almost into the bike lane to get away from him, as him and his trailer are blocking traffic in two directions. you know, it makes me really wonder sometimes where the highway patrol or any Sacramento police are to, you know, help control situations like this. And at least now that I'm on campus recording this, looking around, and, you know, people are actually obeying which directions you're supposed to go down the parking lot. So, at least some of them today are following some sort of common sense. Just sad that my car almost had to get smashed into to be the one person who always tries running me off the road, which is something, like I said, that I feel happens almost every single time I go out. It's seriously, people think Southern California has bad traffic. Northern California is much worse. Much, much worse. I've personally, though, I've only done a lot of Southern California, and a few times, but I've gone Long Beach through LA a couple times on my own, so, but that's not that bad. Sure, I remember sometimes as a passenger in the past getting stuck in the traffic, but safety-wise, I feel safer driving the 405 than I do Watt Avenue. That's definitely something about the quality of drivers in these two areas. And with how long Watt Avenue is, there's just as many chances for psychos running you off the road there as there is for something to happen on the 405. So yeah, you have just as many. So yeah, these people in this town, I try and be as safe as I can, but sometimes. Now, I hope anyone else out there driving today, tomorrow, any other day, stays safe, doesn't have any accidents. I really don't wish that upon anyone, except if you're driving like a psycho and should get your license taken away, like by doing something such as pulling your truck and trailer halfway into the oncoming lane and while traffic's coming towards them. Yeah, that's very safe driving right there. Alright, just got out of class. Pretty fun time. He's joked around quite a bit this time, Professor did, and he's like, man, if he's gonna be like this the entire time, I feel like I should be streaming it just because it's pretty funny, but yeah, that won't get, or probably wouldn't fly, but man, it is dark right now and only 8, so, well, almost 8:30, but yeah, well, of course, the shortening days of summer, I mean, it's the long days of winter if you're really getting technical, because that's when the days start getting longer, and in summer is when the days start getting shorter. It's weird how people don't really think about that unless they're, able to think. Pretty entertaining class today. Really simple beginning assignment for us, and that's alright. Sort of wish I got a recording of this, or at least talked about it sooner. On my way to class, I saw something that is like, yay, look at this awesome application of physics! Although the people doing it probably weren't thinking that. Well, it was a guy and his girlfriend were skateboarding along the sidewalk, and how they were doing it was one of them would pull the other, it would go forward, and using that energy, pull the other one forward and back and forth like that. And it was really cool to me. I was like, oh, hey, that's conservation of momentum right there, and you're still going forward like that. And, eventually they did slow down a bit because all sorts of the correction values from friction, air resistance, just general energy loss, etc. But it was funny to see. But yeah, just other than that, I had a good class today. Pretty funny. Liked seeing the skateboarding couple. That was pretty cool. Just gonna get some food and then back home. So what is so neat about this sketchbook I mentioned earlier? Well, like I just said, it's a sketchbook, and I have some sketches in here. Mostly pony stuff, because the last time I used it was for the our training grounds on Equestria Daily, and currently doing this year's one. First comic was Pony Holding On, and this one is done Ray watching calendar, Inky confused. She's holding on, because at the time this is written, Ray's current arc is she's pregnant. And Inky's like, oh, waiting for the kid? And Ray's like, oh, no, I'm waiting for new anime to come on, because this is Ray we're talking about. She's silly. Second one, Ponies Moving. Upcoming story of mine, I looked it up for the for when I posted it on my Tumblr. The actual one, I think it's like chapter 70 or 70 something. Yeah, a long ways down. Upcoming story starts with Diamond and Scootaloo moving into a new house, and this is even after Scootaloo finally proposes to Diamond, so the moving is them going to the new house. And that's just the start of the story. And them having their own house really doesn't have anything to do with most of the rest of the story, so I just figured that's a fun one to do for this, and hey, if any of my readers see it, then they get a bit of a teaser of what's coming. Then next one is spoiler stuff, sort of. It was Pony Gearing Up. I originally wanted to do one with either Rainbow Pie's daughter or Satsuma's son, because in their timelines, or when get to them in the far, far future, is essentially superhero stuff going on with them. But then I realized it would have been far too complicated to figure out how they gear up more than what I'd want to show. So I decided a different one. This is Starlight and Apple Bloom's oldest daughter, Naoto, based entirely on the Persona 4 character, although most of my ideas for her own stories are little bit of Persona 4 stuff, mostly just to have world setting around her and be like, here's Chie, here's Yukiko, here's Kanju, and go on from there. But she still does like her detective thing, and that is her special talent. Is any readers would know, she appeared in my Christmas story that I wrote last year. A bit of a cameo sort of thing, because she only had like 2 scenes. Second scene was her solving an entire Sherlock Holmes mystery in a matter of seconds, having never read the story before in her life, so that's just the kind of detective she is. Also fitting with Naoto being a detective, and I don't know, I tried to get the look of her uniform correct for pony form, although but I definitely know I made the coat definitely too big. I mean, that big versus that big of a body, no, that's definitely too big. Next one was, the prompt was either pony growing or shrinking. This one's set when Rei's daughter Usagi is in her teens, about the age when Rei was introduced to my stories to begin with. If we go with that, she notices her mom is shorter than her. That's when she realizes she's growing, and Rei is tiny. Like I would give up on a Rei is tiny joke. The way I intend Rei to be represented in the stories is she is about a head shorter than average. So she's, if we're going in terms of the show, she's about like in between Sweetie Belle's height and Rarity's height if you're going to go sister to sister. Or since they're Pegasi, I would say Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash, although that's technically sister. And then today's entry was supposed to be a pony in disguise, pony faking it, and this one's definitely far future stuff with spoiler things. You see, Cersei, Helios's daughter, is sort of rival with Dawn, Sunset Shimmer's daughter. It's complicated, but if you read the story, it sort of works out how Sunset is back and also not back at the same time. So when they're old enough, they have the big prom at school because they're in school together, of course, rivals. And so Cersei challenges Dawn to see who'd be prom queen, knowing that Dawn, being the biggest weirdo in school, Dawn's words, would not take the offer and go on, and it would just go on, and you'd have Cousin be able to tease her a little. And yes, Cousin, it works out. Her father is her father's older brother. There, see, it works out. Dawn actually takes the challenge and shows up all cleaned up, very pretty, super pretty, looking essentially like Princess Celestia, very godly, and that means other prom queen candidates, Cersei and their friend Daphne, are totally shocked, and they know it's game over because Dawn cleans up very, very well. Spoiler for the ending of that, yes, Dawn wins, but as soon as she does, she instantly drops the facade, because having to be pretty and cleaned up and not herself for an entire week, very uncomfortable for her. In the end, she and her cousin Dusk, who wins the king side, give it to Daphne and their cousin Cupcake, who are definitely a better couple. So yeah, Dawn there is faking being beautiful royalty, that sort of thing. Sort of thing that also comes up in other later chapters, is because she knows how to act that way and knows the in and outs of like royal society. She uses that to help her future boyfriend with some of his stuff. But yeah, that's faking. And I sort of realizing that it's based off of something that happened while I was at Cal Poly. We had a friend who was running for, or got nominated for the Physics Student Council, and he was the bit of the goofy slacker as opposed to the hardworking student, and everyone who is like serious about it were like, "Oh, he doesn't really care. He doesn't really care." What he does in the weeks leading up to the election is every day he shows up in a suit and attends like all of the major events and stuff. So when it came down to a discussion of why he should do it, he points out that I'm the only one who actually did all this stuff, and I'm the one that everyone's writing off as the goofball screw up. He was easily elected. Very easily elected. Plus the fact that they didn't stop graduating seniors from voting, and thus I got to vote for him. And definitely supported him a lot because he's a cool guy, you know? Plus we need someone to shake up this stuff occasionally. Which, according to my friends who heard afterwards, the last class for us, we were the last ones to actually do stuff like that and shake it up a bit. And as you can see, I haven't heard the prompt yet for the next one, so that's the end of this little sketchbook interlude. Hope you liked looking into my sketchbook there. I know it's very bare bones stuff. I decided that for this artist training ground because I have classes started up already, and I want to get that story I mentioned a few videos ago written, and I have other stuff I'm working on and other stuff continuing on. I just wanted to do like the sketches and then the skeleton as much as possible as the for my drawings, not even submitting them to EQD, so because it's like, I don't really feel like I should, and I don't really want to either, because so I'm just doing that. Using like my lighter pencils and doing those over, and definitely not putting in any of the heavy lines, not going over in ink or anything, definitely not coloring them. Because, especially with that Dawn one, that'd be hard for me to color, because my notes on what color her hair is sunshine. Someone find me a Crayola labeled sunshine, I'll use it. And if I don't agree with it, I'll just throw it against the wall. But yeah, I don't really think drawing sunshine is the easiest thing to do. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't really sketch that much these days because I'm usually distracted with other things. The other things happened to me today. As I was getting dinner, bit of an interesting thing I want to bring up occurred. Going to Taco Bell because I don't really care about my gastrointestinal system. Yeah. Sorry, usual joke, but I just get very light things there. I don't any of the really heavy stuff is, one, not worth the price, and two, usually not worth the price, either internally or financially. So, but no, because the person in front of me had a very long order and very special order too. On top of that, it had a bit of a wait, and made better by the fact that they weren't the type of person who is pull up a bit more so that the other person behind them can get access to like any of the services offered by the place. But you know, when you're a courteous person like me and would want to make room for the car behind you to pull up more, no, because I had a long wait. I got up to there and they offered me like a free fountain drink or free like Cinnabon thing. I didn't go for it. I asked for a cup of water on the side already. But you know, it just made me realize a bit ago that them and Starbucks are the only places that have ever done that. If at least with me, when I've been stuck in a long line for a while, on very rare occasions, I've gotten like a cup of water from In-N-Out for free without asking because hot days and all that. But very rarely have I gotten some sort of bonus from anyone because they know that they're late. So Taco Bell and Starbucks, good for them. Very glad that they're nice about that sort of thing. Shoot, what was the other thing I wanted to say? Shoot, wasn't that? Crud. Yay, forgetfulness. I got a root beer with the rest of my dinner too, so I like root beer. Dang it, I keep forgetting that we have some here at home too. I love root beer. Root beer's good. And, I'm now thinking root beer frozen. Oh, there was the other thing. We hit a bit of a snafu with the making veal dish front. I got when I went to the store last weekend. I looked at their selection and found it lacking, to say the word least. Found the thin cut veal good for like the sautéing or those types of dishes, or the ground for veal burgers. I'm not saying only those, but those are what I've made with them occasionally. And then today, my mom apparently went into a better store looking for them, and they didn't find and agreed with my assessment that finding the good stewing meat, because you're going to have cubes about this big. I'd say about 2 centimeters, but per side if you're going to get a technical. Because that cooks down. Like I think I mentioned that in no. That was a hypothetical thing that I was thinking about. That I thought about talking about meat shrinkage when you cook them. But you about a 2 centimeter cube, and then those shrink down when you stew them. Yeah, so we're not doing that. She did instead get a really nice and really big chunk of lamb instead. Right now I'm leaning towards finding a good sort of stewing recipe. That probably is going to be the final idea, but I'm going to be checking our cookbooks in a little bit when I get more drinks, because I'm almost out of water. I go through these. Yes, I go through the whole gallon pretty quickly because I like water. It's the better drink than than these sugary stuff. I do this water for sugar. I do like the sodas for a bit of sugar, but then that's like this much compared to this much of how much other water I drank. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna check up lamb recipes. Like I said, I'm leaning towards another stewing idea. I don't know, maybe find like an interesting curry idea. That sounds like a good idea. But I'm floating ideas. Lamb is very good. Not having had many different fancier meats, lamb is definitely my preference, and I find it really good. When you cook it off correctly, sometimes they get me like lamb chops or riblets or something like that, and get those broiled up really nice. It's fun stuff. So yeah, so that'll be our next cooking one, unless I end up getting the house to myself again sometime in the future and spontaneously showing you how to make eggs again. As much as I consider that a very why did I do this video myself, I had a lot of fun, and especially being able to talk about the hows and whys of that, so I had a lot of fun doing that. Thanks to my classes being canceled before the semester starts, I'm technically on weekend now, but when you have online courses and stuff, you're never really on weekend. So see you tomorrow with something, unless I decide to take the day off and use the last remaining review video I stocked up as my video for then, which I might do. Warning, it contains a lot of Sonata Dusk, and I have no apologies for that, aside from that little warning. She's just the greatest. I like villains, I like goofy characters. She's a goofy villain. What can I say? Well, I can't say see you around.